Well guys, definitely not the video I intended to make today, but here I am in a field. So we're gonna spend the rest of the day getting this thing out of here, and I guess the rebuild is gonna begin shortly. So still a little shaken from the whole thing. Well, everybody, it's been a few days and I've had time to reflect and to figure out kind of what happened. So here we are at the plane, and it's time for me to give you guys the explanation of the entire sequence of events that led to me having this plane sitting in a field. And it's pretty simple. I got distracted. I got complacent, I got distracted, and I missed a very, very key step in my pre-flight routine. Alright, so let me give you guys a rundown of the sequence of events that led to this incident with 8 Lima November. So first thing was I got distracted right after I'd completed my run-up, and I didn't go back and confirm the last step of my run-up on the on my checklist, which was confirm proper fuel tank. And because I didn't do that, I took off with a tank that had no fuel in it. So let me talk about how I got distracted. Right after I'd gotten to that point where I'd done the run-up, I'd checked A to B, done all the normal procedures, I got a phone call. And that phone call took me off my game for just a second, and it was enough that complacency set in, and I didn't go back and double check that I had completed everything on my checklist. Now, the second thing that happened was right after I'd finished that, I taxied out to the runway, made the radio call, and then I got another radio call that distracted me again, and so I didn't do the last thing on my pre-takeoff checklist, which is confirm proper fuel tank. So from there, hit the gas and everything went normal. Normal takeoff, turning crosswind, and then the first indication of problems, I heard a little ticking noise. Knowing now, that was the fuel pump starved of fuel. About 2 seconds later, the engine starts to roll back. I know immediately what the problem is. I try to swap the tanks while the prop is still windmilling, and that does not have enough time to actually start the motor. Leaving it on there, I then try the starter a couple times, but it's to no avail, and I have to make the decision because of my altitude to land in that field, and that's where we see it now. So let me also give you guys this piece of information. The time from me hitting the throttle to take off to in that field was less than 2 minutes. So a lot of things happened very, very quickly. Now, lucky for me, and lucky for the plane, everything is, well, for me personally, lucky for me, I'm safe, I'm unhurt. The plane is rebuildable. So, as I stated, the real rebuild is going to start now, and I've already started tearing into it. So let me show you some of the damage that had happened as a result of this incident. And I forgot to mention this while I was at the airport, but this incident has been reported to the FAA and the NTSB, and all of the investigations have been completed. So basically what they did was they counseled me, they made sure that I understood that where my issues were, and as the inspector told me on their side, I learned a very important but expensive lesson. So this is the pilot side wing. You notice that this is where we impacted the ground. As you saw in that first little video sequence I sent you guys, or showed you guys in this video, this impacted the ground, this wing is pretty much done. But lucky for me, you notice that the pitot tube here, it did not even touch the ground, so that is savable. Same with the wing, the tank. But again, this hit the ground, and as you notice here, the rear spar was damaged. So the rear spar does have to come out of the entire plane, but it didn't actually affect these ribs at this position here. So both of these ribs are actually in good shape on each side. Nose is a little bit different story. what happened here, if you guys can tell, is the landing gear actually got ripped out. So I've actually started kind of pulling this out, trying to get these things out, but this rib, and this rib are all damaged. These ribs here are good, so the plan is I'm going to cut through here, put in a doubler, and rebuild this whole area of the wing. The other thing that I got lucky with is that the spar itself didn't take a hit. Also, the exhaust never touched the ground. You can tell because it's still equal distance from the firewall on both sides. Prop took a hit, so I've got the prop already off. It's going to be heading off to Sensenik, but the hub did not have any damage to it at all. Again, you can see here, no issue with the exhaust pipe actually touching. Haven't got to this wing yet, but as you can see here, this whole section got torn out. There's actually the landing gear here, and you notice that the wheel did get ripped off. So the wheel's actually over here in the corner. This wing, on the other hand, didn't have any damage except for one small thing. When the wheel came off, it actually hit right here in the rear spar. So this wing, again, is going to need to be replaced. So overall, not a ton of damage, but enough where it does suck, but it does have, I did find a parts airplane, so I'll be able to take all of the parts and pieces that I need to rebuild it. Now, as I say that, this is not a already completed flying airplane. This is actually from a kit that was never finished, and a buddy of mine up in Utah has it. So I'll be able to rebuild or build brand new 2 new wings and harvest the parts that I needed, specifically the landing gear and some of the leading edge parts to get this plane back together. So happy that it's not as bad as it could have been, but again, kind of sucks that it did get to where it was. Now, I also need to thank my sponsors, especially those who are supporting me in this effort, and specifically in this case, GRT Avionics. GRT Avionics is an American-based company making very capable avionics for guys like me and you who are flying on a budget but need all of that really important information in front of us. Things like ADS-B in, moving map, and if you're flying instrument, having the HSI and other presentations in front of you so that we can safely fly our planes and, again, do the missions that we're looking for. So if you guys are building or restoring a light sport aircraft, go over to grtavionics.com, check out their offerings that they have, and really consider them in your build. Anyways, this is me, Larry Nelson, telling you guys, for projects that I have now, or ones you got in your garage, get out there, get building, get flying, and hopefully very soon, I'll see you guys back in the air.